Welcome to the 2-point niche test. I'm really excited about this one. Hey, if you can see and hear me, okay, will you do me a favor and like this video? Let's let it load up here. I think we're in good place. All right, I've got some eyeballs. If you can see this, will you just fire off a like? Make sure I'm coming through strong. Perfect. Thank you for that like. All right. If you're joining me here live, I'm really, really happy you're here. One of the best parts about being here live is you get to ask questions. So let me know where you're joining from if you're here live, and please use this time interactively. I always love to end these by coming back around to your questions and answering what it is that you are wondering about, because I want these to be as useful, as actionable as possible. So if you're here live, let me know where you're joining from. If you are catching the replay, drop a hashtag replay into the comments, and I would love to answer your questions, even if maybe you're catching this a little bit later. People still watch these trainings years down the road, so I welcome your thoughts where whatever the date may be. Hi Nancy, I'm really happy you're here. I hope this is a useful time for you. All right. The two things your niche has to do. This is the 2-point niche test. How to know if yours is strong enough for this climate. And I note that specifically because holy mackerel, I mean, if you have been around our world for a little while, you know that things have changed. The world of private practice marketing in the last 2 years has changed significantly, but even in the last 12 months, we've seen even more shifts there. And so I really want to be using this time to give it to give it. I really want to use this time to give you some actionable guidance about what you need to be thinking about around your niche. So, I've got my notes on this screen, that on that screen. Wonderful, Katie, Casey, really happy that you're here. So, your niche is so much more. Hopefully, you know this by now than just like a marketing buzzword, right? The riches are in the niches, if you say it the other way, or everyone needs to choose a niche. Those things that, yeah, maybe they're true, but we are seeing when it comes to how things have changed, the way that your niche really is the key to unlocking the growth of your practice. It's hard to quantify a niche, right? It's not like you don't, there's not like something you don't launch a website, you don't launch a niche, it's not this kind of black and white thing, but when we attempt to quantify it, a couple things that we found, and this was in our recent State of the Industry survey. If you haven't gotten the report yet, it's totally free, walkerstrategyco.com/SOI. You can download and check out some of the insights from our training, I'm sorry, from our survey. But a couple things that we learned there. Clinicians who have a defined niche self-report themselves being 20% more effective in their marketing. So if you've got a good niche, you're 20% more likely to feel effective in your marketing, or 20% more effective rather. So that's pretty big. That's no small thing. And then another thing that was really interesting when we were parsing out the data is you were 1.7 times more likely to get clients through your website if you have a defined niche. So again, clients are more likely to engage you on your website. Your website is likely to be stronger, more effective for you if you have a niche. So those are two ways of attempting to quantify how important a niche is right now. We also know that on the side of your clients, it's important that especially if you're interested in being a full fee clinician, that people who are willing to hand over $150, $200, $250, $400 an hour are looking for someone who is a specialist in the thing that they themselves are facing. And so that is why we talk so much about a niche, and it's why I'm seeing it be even more important. I didn't think it could get more important, and it has. And that's why we're here on this training today. Now, many therapists really struggle with really vague and kind of overly broad niches. And a couple things happen when I see that happen. They're getting inquiries, this is the worst, from people who aren't a good fit. Is there anything worse than getting an email that someone completed the form on your website and getting excited and then realizing they're not a good fit? Either reading that email or getting on a consult, right? Oh, that's so hard, right? Because you go from the kind of this high to this low a little bit. Or consults aren't converting because again, they aren't a good fit. People are reaching out, you're hopping on the phone and then realizing we're not a match. Or spending a lot of time sort of spinning your wheels in your marketing and not getting the results that you need. And so that's what I want to relieve you of as part of this process. The last thing I'll say before getting into the 2-point test, many of you, and I'm curious if you're, maybe like this video, if you're in a saturated area, There are certainly some clinicians I support who are in more rural areas, and we have a little bit of a different approach. But most of the therapists, this makes logical sense, that I serve and that we see are in saturated areas. And so you might be wondering here, what do I do when I'm surrounded by what feels like a therapist on every corner? And your niche really is the first step in setting yourself apart there. So let me know if that resonates with you, if you're finding yourself in that saturated area and that's something that you're working on. All right, so the 2-point test. The first point, the first thing that your niche, the first test it has to pass is that this is going to feel like a no-brainer. Your niche needs to attract the right fit clients. Now, what does it actually mean to do that? Your ideal client needs to see themselves in your niche. And when we think about your niche, it's how you're presenting it, right? It's your website or your social media or your referral conversations. Your client has to immediately see themselves. If we make it hard for them to know if they belong or not, they will leave. We know that. Just that's basic marketing psychology. And so we really need your clients to be able to see themselves in what you're putting out there and in your niche. Now, this is how we create that. I read your Psych Today profile and I know you're the therapist for me, or your website really spoke to me. That's how we create that experience. If you do not have a clear niche that is speaking to a particular type of person, you are leaving clients to guess. You're leaving it up to them to decide if you are right for them. And that when we create that gap between them reading your website or visiting your Psych Today profile and figuring out if you're the right fit for them, if we require them to cross that chasm, we will lose them. They will leave. And so when we are vague and when we're not speaking to a particular type of person, we leave it up to the client. We make it harder for them to know if you're the right fit for them. So here are some mistakes that I see that weaken this ability to attract. Okay, the first is that you're way too broad. It's not enough anymore to help with anxiety. It's not enough anymore to even specialize in just moms or just a particular demographic, right? We have to be getting more specific in our marketing. And we're seeing that that's one of the trends that we very much have seen in the last 2 years. More specific niches are outperforming the more general ones. And so when you stay too broad, there's say you're an anxiety therapist. There's a particular type of anxiety you enjoy and a particular type you don't. But if all you say is anxiety, then you risk attracting anyone who identifies with that term. And again, we create the guesswork for your clients. We want your marketing to take the guesswork out of your clients' minds and get them into taking action. So that's one of the big mistakes I see folks make. Another huge mistake that can weaken your attraction when it comes to your niche is you are too clinical. Now, I have a training on how to attract relational trauma clients. That's a perfect example of this. Many of the clinicians I support really enjoy doing complex trauma and relational trauma, kind of those deep wounds that clients have often been carrying for so long. But when a clinician says, I specialize in relational trauma, that goes over the heads of the people-pleasing woman who had no idea she has trauma. She just thought she had kind of a difficult childhood. And so when niches are too clinical, when you specialize in something that is not actually what your clients identify with, then we miss them almost entirely. And again, then the guesswork is really big because your client doesn't even know if they belong inside of your niche. And then the other part, and if you've been in my world for a bit, my Confident Copy students hear me talk about this all the time. You got to be sticky. And by sticky, I mean you have to bring in the emotion into your niche. So if your niche doesn't really tap into the real struggles of your clients, then it can't feel compelling. So an example of that, so I help moms with anxiety. Okay, I mean, like, I don't think we're too broad there. I think we're getting down into something that's pretty focused. But you know what would make that stronger? I help moms stop the people-pleasing cycles and start putting themselves first. That is where we're tapping into that, oh, I never put myself first. Those are the type of experiences that lead to, I read your website and I know you're the therapist for me. And so that all starts with your niche. That all starts with getting really, really specific about who you're speaking to and tapping into the emotions that have led them to seek out therapy. So those are some of the mistakes I see, often too broad or too clinical, or really missing out on the emotion. In an effort to be concise, you are missing out on actually strengthening that statement and the focus in your marketing there. All right. A couple things I want you to keep in mind in this first point. If you're thinking about your niche, first and foremost, if you have not yet taken our free niche quiz, I highly suggest that. Because if you're sitting here right now and you're like, Anna, I hear that I need to be focused in my niche, but I love variety in my caseload. I hear you. And guess what? There's a way you can be focused and have variety. And our four types niche quiz will help you do that. It will help you identify what we call a red thread in your messaging and in your niche so that no matter what type of client is coming in, whether it's a couple or a teen or a mom, if those are the populations you love to serve, they feel seen by you. Our four types quiz can really unlock that for you. You can go walkerstrategyco.com/niche dash quiz, totally free. That'll give you some guidance and some really, really good direction on how to start putting language to this. Then the number one thing I want to empower you around here is that you have to be tapping into the minds of your clients here. You have to be using their words. I've been doing a lot of coaching on niche in confident copy in the last couple of weeks, which is our marketing mentorship. And one of the things that I'm often doing, clinicians are coming to me where they're sharing their niche, and then I'm coaching them on what we're seeing there. And a lot of times I'll ask them, you say that you like to attract motivated clients. Do clients identify as motivated? What words do they use to describe that to you? So we really have to take off the therapist hat and we have to get down into the shoes of your clients. Excuse me. And we really, really have to use their language. That is what's going to bring in that emotional piece to your niche that is so critical. One thing that I really, really love to do is sort of filter you can pass this through. Try synthesizing your niche. We call this a niche statement in confident copy, but try putting your niche into 1 to 2 statements. Try and encapsulate, and this is a big job. Everything that you do into 1 or 2 statements. Boil it down, and then I want you to bring it to someone. Ideally, not another therapist. So your partner, a friend. Say, does this sound like a specific person's struggle? I help people with anxiety. That's not a specific person's struggle. I help moms break the cycles of self-doubt and start putting themselves first. Does that sound like a real person's struggle? That person's likely to say yes. You could even, maybe you want to go to ChatGPT and ask an AI. But this is what's going to show you if you're actually tapping into these deeper motivations of your clients and speaking to someone specific. Okay. I want to speak to the idea of being saturated. Casey noted that she's in a very saturated area. Your intuition when you are in a saturated area might be, all right, there's more therapists. And so I should probably be speaking to more clients in order to hopefully capture some of them because we're all sort of fighting for the same clients. That's a really competitive way to look at it. Your intuition is wrong. I'm just here to tell you strategically, your intuition, if it's telling you to go broad, I'm in a big area, so I need to be speaking to more people. If you're in a saturated area, you need to go more focused. More focused is better in a saturated area than less. And that's actually one of the cool things. Excuse me. I love supporting clinicians who are in, New York City or Los Angeles because we got to get creative. You cannot just be the 1000th anxiety therapist in Manhattan. We got to do something different. We got to take a different angle in order to really set yourself apart from those folks. And that's going to mean getting specific. So I hope that is kind of a helpful nugget. Now, the second point, this is, like I said, that first point might have been kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, my niche needs to speak to my ideal clients. Hopefully you still got some good nuggets there. But this second point is really the shift that I've seen. And it's the thing that makes a lot of therapists really uncomfortable. And that shift is that your niche has to repel clients. It actually needs to repel people. So not only are we attracting, we are repelling. We know if you have a good niche, not just if it's bringing in right fit clients, but if it is blessing and releasing, another nice way to think about repelling, poor fit clients. So I want you to think about right now, who's not the right fit for you? Now, I recognize you can serve a wide range of presenting issues. You can work with a wide range of demographics. You probably have, especially if you come from a community mental health background. But you know that there's a particular type of client that you love to work with. You are not the right therapist for everyone. That's a good thing. But who are you not the right fit for? Now, why is repelling just as important as attracting? If your niche is too open-ended, if you're just trying to attract and you're not focusing on the specificity that allows you to repel, clients are not going to align with your style. That's one of the big things. You probably like to work in a particular way. Maybe it's psychodynamic, maybe it's very structured, maybe it's humanistic, whatever that might be, that alone differentiates you. And so if you're not focused on repelling people that don't want that approach, then you're going to be creating that disconnect in your marketing that again leads to those poor fit consults or maybe even poor retention down the road. It might be the difference between people coming in looking for quick fixes versus the depth work that you love, right? And it could ultimately lead to a mix of clients who are somewhat fulfilling, but also a little bit draining because again, they're not aligning super well with your niche. You're a sign of a good niche is that you're not trying to speak to everyone, right? I've used the example before that people have really resonated with that to catch fish, you don't cast a wide net, you cast a deep one, right? People on the periphery shouldn't fit there. It's not that they couldn't reach out to you, but we need to make sure, excuse me, that we are speaking to a particular type of person and that the other people, the poor fit people, are able to tell from your marketing. Do you know how incredible that is? Sometimes I'll help clinicians in confident copy write an anxiety page, for instance, which is a little bit more general, but there's a particular type of anxiety that they like. And I'll ask them, all right, if I landed here, maybe I don't love working with panic disorder. So the anxiety, excuse me, page that I've written is about people pleasing. If someone from panic disorder comes here and reads this page, we want them to leave. Will they see themselves here? No. Then we've done something right. I have to mute and cough 1 sec. Don't want to do that right in your ear. This is the sign of a good niche, and this is a sign of a good niche today. Back in the day, if you were specific and worked on attracting, then that was enough. These days, because we are seeing clients visit more and more clinicians' websites than they ever did, they're taking longer to make decisions. They're doing more kind of shopping around, which they are allowed to do. We have to make sure that your marketing is doing the heavy lifting for you and that you are not on the backside of your marketing having to filter out poor fit and right fit folks. It's what's going to invite the right people in and bless and release those that just simply are not the right fit, right? So here's some signs that you might not be repelling enough. You're getting inquiries, like I mentioned, that just you don't want to work with. And usually that comes down to style. Generally, they might resonate with the presenting issues that you talk about, but if you're not being specific about how you solve those issues and the way that you work, you could be creating a mismatch there unintentionally. And you might find yourself like feeling obligated to take people because they technically fit the attraction side, even though there's parts of them that aren't the right fit. That's another sort of sign to us, like they sort of fit, but they sort of don't. We could have done some blessing and releasing with your niche and in your marketing as part of that. So here's what I want you to do in order to start repelling. A, get comfortable. Get comfortable. Be okay with not being the right therapist for everyone. And I know you know that. Of course, if you were to get on a consult with someone and it wasn't the right fit, you would be honest about that and you would want them to find the therapist that is right for them. You have to be okay with your marketing doing that too. And that's an uncomfortable place to be, especially if you're working on growing your caseload, because it sort of feels like, well, any client would be better than no client. So shouldn't I work to get more clients, to attract or speak to more clients? When in fact, if we can get more narrow and more specific and do that repelling as well, we're actually going to resonate with more people than less. So I want to get you to get really clear on who you don't work with. And not just the other end of the spectrum, not just perhaps really acute or in crisis clients, although that's important as well. But there are probably personality differences, approach differences, presenting issue differences that's just not, it's not what lights you up. You don't enjoy it. They don't enjoy you. You don't have good outcomes. What are those things? Get honest about them. Be really clear about who you don't work with. And then say it. Katie said, do we talk about who isn't a good fit on our site or just focus on speaking to who is the right fit? Katie, you're tracking with me. It is absolutely okay to make clear who you do and don't work with. You can do that in lots of creative ways. We I've seen some folks in Confident Copy do a section of maybe their home or their about page. I work well with clients who, and then they state that criteria for right fit. We've also there's a compare and contrast block that we guide students through. I'm the right therapist for you if XYZ. I'm not the best therapist client for you or the therapist for you if you XYZ. You're allowed to state this. You are doing your clients a favor your right fit clients a favor because they're seeing themselves there. You are doing the poor fit clients a favor because they aren't wasting their time or yours in continuing to engage. So you can absolutely be clear about that. Use honest and direct language. And again, this is where that specificity from the attraction also comes in. You don't just help adults with anxiety. That is too broad, and we don't know who we are attracting and repelling there. Instead, if you work with ambitious professionals who are struggling with imposter syndrome and perfectionism and stress at work, okay, we're repelling some people there and we are deeply attracting others. So use honest and direct and clear language in your marketing. Definitely include a good fit, not good fit kind of copy section in your website and in your marketing. And please, it really does come back to the idea of trusting that just because you're repelling some doesn't mean you're losing out on clients because they weren't the right fit for you anyway. So how cool is it that your marketing can do that for you? And instead spend its time, your marketing can spend its time speaking to the people who are the right fit, right? It's a really, really beautiful thing. So that's why this is the shift that I have just really witnessed. And I have witnessed this in done for you clients, the clients for whom we do their websites for them. And so we're helping articulate their niche on their behalf. We're writing their copy. And then we're hearing how it goes. Our confident copy students, just clinicians that I talk to, friends of mine, truly across the board. I am calling clients to mind right now. Those that are doing both here, that have prioritized not just attraction, but repelling in their marketing and in their niches are the ones that are experiencing more growth right now. And so I hope this is getting your gears turning. I want to give you some examples of like effective, weak, stronger niches here to maybe kind of get your gears turning. So I help adults with stress and anxiety. That's a kind of a weak niche. Okay. Who are we attracting and repelling there? Instead, a stronger niche here, I help ambitious professional women who want to get to the root of their overwhelmed perfectionism and self-doubt. Okay, let's look at that statement. Ambitious professional women. We're attracting and repelling there. Get to the root. We're speaking to approach. Okay, this isn't solution focused as much as it is underlying work, right? That's speaking to depth work. Overwhelm, perfectionism, self-doubt. Those are sticky emotional examples. That's why that one really, really works. So this is repelling people who are looking for maybe that surface level stress relief, those who aren't interested in depth work, certainly those that don't identify as an ambitious professional woman. You can see there's attraction and repelling happening there. Here's one more, couples. I help couples communicate better. Okay. Yeah, we're speaking to couples, but who are we not speaking to there, right? I help high conflict couples. I've worked with a client who did high conflict work and so much rich stuff there, who feel stuck in endless arguments and want to rebuild trust. Okay, who are we attracting there? High conflict couples. So we're repelling people that are just here for a tune-up. We're repelling premarital, right? Stuck in endless arguments. So conflict is the issue, hence the high conflict. Want to rebuild trust. That tells me we're speaking to couples who are still bought into the process, who still want to be here, who are not, this isn't the last ditch effort before ending the relationship. So that's speaking a little bit to your approach. So you can see here, we're repelling kind of the premarital or the quick tune-up, and we're speaking to the person the couples who realize they need this help and are still wanting to do the work to repair it. So much more specific and so much more likely to resonate with the people you actually enjoy. All right, I got at least one question here, Vanessa. I'm going to come to you in just a moment. So I just want you to ask yourself right now, A, do you know your niche? If not, we would love to help you. Our free niche quiz, confident copy. This is where I'm literally coaching clients on this every single day, and it's honestly the best part of my job. So if you're looking for deep support with this, not just in identifying what your niche is, but fleshing it out, speaking to this in your marketing, in your networking conversations, in your psych today, that's what we do in confident copy. So know that if you want support, it is there for you to articulate how to do this. But here's kind of the self-assessment to end with here, okay? Your niche, hold this in your mind. Does it clearly attract your right fit clients? Am I speaking to the people I love to work with? And does it naturally repel people who aren't a good fit? If I dissect my niche, sort of like I just demonstrated with those two examples, am I repelling the people that I don't do my best work with? If the answer to either of those is no, then where can I make some refinements? Where can I get more specific, more emotional? Where can I do more kind of self-qualifying for my clients? Again, this is in service, not just to you and your marketing, but it's in service to your clients. It's helping them know immediately if they're in the right spot and how you can help. And if they're not, is blessing and releasing them to go on and find the therapist who is. This is in service of both your marketing and your clients. All right, let's see. Vanessa, I specialize in women who are people pleasers, and I find I get all different ages of women. So sometimes it's people pleasing with work, burnout, sometimes relationship, sometimes university. Should I pick one? Not if you don't want to. Absolutely not. What a cool example. So your niche, people pleasers, women, that's specific. I understand that. And if you enjoy underneath that all the variety of ways that people pleasing shows up, the work, the burn, the relationships, the university, keep it. A fabulous example of someone who can enjoy variety underneath the umbrella of something that is truly focused. If you find you like one, oh, you said, yeah, I kind of like them all. Perfect. Then you have passed the test, right? If you find that you like one, then that's an opportunity to sort of focus even further. But I think that's excellent. And the fact that you're attracting folks that fall under that umbrella, but into these different categories keeps your caseload interesting and hopefully engaging for you as well. All right, Chris Ward, my friend, such a good example. Yes, let's go. Stress and anxiety was what I thought my niche was when I started working with you. We've gotten so much more specific now. Yeah, now Chris is targeting, high achieving professional New Yorkers who are stressed and want to do better in their work. Like, I didn't state your niche perfectly, Chris. You could do it for me, but he's a great example. When you're in Manhattan, you got to get more specific. Going broad is not the answer. We've got to get more specific. So Vanessa, you said I do like deeper work though, so maybe you can add that. Absolutely, that's another way. Like I said, repelling is often more about approach than it is about kind of like demographics, or presenting issues. And so perhaps layering something about your deeper work could be a great addition to your niche. So, all right, I hope you are walking away right now thinking, I've got some good work to do. It is okay that your niche isn't perfect. We were just talking about in our Confident Copy coaching call today that your niche is an evolution. It's going to be something you return to. It might not ever be 100% done, but it can get better and better. And I hope that this informs you around what you can be doing to be successful today and in this climate. Because success is out there. I am seeing and hearing it truly every single week. And this is one of the ways that you can really unlock that potential in your practice. So, all right, y'all, I appreciate you. I hope this was helpful. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time.